We often speak about our relationship with God, but how about the human relationship between each other? Of course, the first relationship we have in life, even though we're not aware of it, perhaps one that we become aware of is first a mother, the nurturing mother the little baby becomes aware of. But the truth is our first relationship is with God. But we turn to look at between each other. Says the Alter Rebbe in conclusion of this letter, I earnestly ask of my esteemed listeners, and he uses very strong terms, more harsh terms when it comes to a relationship between people than between us and God, not to cast aside my words. And I ask that every person be upright and walk with integrity, just as God made man upright. Right? Animals are on all fours, for the most part at least, right? But we need to be, as we are on 2 feet, upright. And what does it mean to be upright? It means not to seek calculations regarding the pretext of another person's motive, what's going on in their head, and you're trying to figure out, why did they do that? Right? We weigh the motives of another individual. Says the Alter Rebbe that is the work of heaven and not the occupation of flesh and blood. Rather, we should believe with absolute faith, as our sages say, that we should be humble in spirit before every individual without exception. Because then you become better through every individual, through that humility. It's very powerful. When you walk into a room with people, usually we make an assessment. Where do I stand in regards to others? This, I'm saying parenthetically now, not what the Alter Rebbe is saying, but to add. And we kind of judge ourselves in context to others. And we always want to, feel that we're not less than. You want to feel more than. Here, the Alter Rebbe is saying, actually feel less than. From a place of strength, which is called humility. Not a place of insecurity, but a place of strength, that you have a sense of humility. And because of that humility, now you're going to be able to better yourself through your fellow. As opposed to the nature that we have is to either feel greater than or feeling less than because of insecurity, but not from humility. And that will come because you don't make a calculation what a person's motives are, what's in their head, what are they thinking, how are they looking at me, are they judging me, are they looking favorably towards me? Be humble in spirit before every individual without exception. That takes real strength to be able to do that. Continues the Alter Rebbe and says, thus it is also written that all of Israel are associated together like one person. So, metaphorically, what does that mean? Just like a human being is made up of different limbs of the body, and all of the limbs are separated from each other. If they were to feel separated from each other, that would affect the heart and the issues of life. It's only when we are like one whole, complete entity of a being that there's proper circulation of the flow of blood and everything else that needs to flow appropriately. Because there isn't a sense of separateness. We're whole one. Likewise, the Jewish people are that way, whole and one. Therefore, by truly being like one individual in the service of God, when it comes to duties of the heart, which is prayer, this is crucial to be established. Right? In other words, from everything that we just said, in that humility that we are bound together as one body. Every limb needs each other. And one is going to say, hey, I deserve more. I'm greater than you. Well, of course, that's going to affect the well-being of the individual. So from the positive, we can, of course, infer the negative, that if we don't act in that way. That is why it says to serve God with one purpose. The verse actually says to serve him with one shoulder. We all shoulder it together. In other words, when we truly unite as a Jewish people, then we could say that we're truly serving him. The Alter resumes his plea to his Hasidim. Therefore, my beloved and my dear ones, I beg again and again that each of you exert yourself with all of your heart and soul to firmly implant this idea of the oneness that there is of the Jewish people, and therefore will bring out, of course, a love for a fellow Jew. Let none of you consider in your heart what is evil for your fellow. Moreover, you shouldn't even have a consideration in your heart. In the first place, it should never arise in your heart. And if it does arise in your heart, some negativity towards another, which it does by a Beinoni, right? Which Beinoni can't prevent that negativity to enter in their mind from their heart, because only the righteous have converted the negativity of their heart, but the Beinoni and anybody less than that hasn't. But when that negative thought comes of another, push it away. Just as, you push away smoke in front of you, you get it clear out. You shouldn't have smoke in front of you because it is, not pleasant. Likewise, consider this the smoke of actual idolatrous thoughts. Because when you have that idolatrous thought, meaning seeing the negative in another, then that will bring you ultimately to speak evil. And the truth is, the Alter says, speaking evil about another is as grave as idolatry, incest, and bloodshed. Wow, in spiritual terms. Now that's about speech, it says. Thinking evil is even worse. Because thinking evil, is a reflection of what's going on the inner world. Sometimes you speak things and you don't even mean it, right? But what you think, you mean it. Because in the thoughts of the person, that's where you're found. That's where you're holding. That's where you're at. Therefore, don't think it. And if you do, push it away. Whether it be for good or for better. A euphemism. For good or the opposite, obviously. And in conclusion of this amazing teachings, it says, may the good Lord who blesses his people with peace bestow peace and life upon you forevermore, as is the wish of him who loves you deeply from heart and soul. Again, another teachings, another day, and another unreal high bar to live up to. But we're used to this every day, being fed a teachings that just brings us up. It makes us just, wow, different people. Just by learning this, that itself just raises up our soul, raises up our consciousness, our awareness. And of course, when we try to live it, implement it, not just learn it, but implement it, we become different people. Okay, a lot more to explain, but let's look at some questions I noticed. Brett, isn't an attempt to understand motives of an act of empathy? Also, isn't it the essential consideration of in a courtroom? So we're talking about, you're not a judge. If you're a judge in a courtroom, so of course then you have that obligation. We're talking about judging other people. You saw them do something, like, someone did something nice, but you judge, always said, well, yeah, I know what's motivating him. He's looking for sort of self-glorification by doing that nice thing. Doesn't really mean it. That's what we're talking about, for example, right? A judge in a courtroom, of course, has to, Brett. You're absolutely correct. And if you're judging the motives of an individual in order to be empathetic, then you're also correct. In other words, you saw somebody do something wrong, but you are now putting a positive spin on their motives. Fine. In order to bring empathy, if that would be appropriate, absolutely correct, Brett. You're right. But that's not the examples we're giving, that the Alter Rebbe is giving. We're talking about where you are looking at the motives of the individual to judge them in a negative way, not in a positive way. Which is, by the way, most of the times what we do. Most of the time, but let's put it this way. Often enough. Again, why do we do it? Out of insecurity. Because our ego, and that insecurity might lead us to a robust ego. But that robust ego is coming from an insecurity. So you got to feel better than another. So therefore, when they did something, right? It's like, think about it for a moment. And let's be honest with ourselves. Afa bring it over here, right? Afa bring it. We've been, every night is Afa bring it. Tonight there's going to be, maybe we'll put it live, the Afa bring in my sukkah. Tonight there's going to be a Afa bring in my sukkah, 7:30. You know what? I'm going to try to make it live. It'll be live on Chabad ZK. Chabad ZK Facebook. Yeah. I don't know if I think that's the way we'll make it. Or maybe we'll do it on Zoom too. Anyways. There's something. So, talking about the robust ego that is really coming from an insecurity, that, the human condition is, we have to feel good of ourselves. So imagine you have a neighbor who is really a great guy, a philanthropist. He's, the coach of the softball team for the 10-year-old kids. He volunteers in the soup kitchen, and it's just really a nice guy, a wealthy person to boot, and let that wealth get to his head, and is very generous. So if you're humble, then you'll see, wow, that guy's amazing. But if you're not humble and look up to that person and learn from that person, what's going to happen? Because of your insecurities, you have to now, you can't judge him on his actions because he does a lot more than you might do. I'm not pointing to any fingers here. Right? Pointing at myself. And therefore, because of the insecurity that you have, because of the lack of humility, because humility means you are secure with yourself and have humility, but the lack of the insecurity, so therefore you prop yourself up with a false sense of self-worth, and you got to feel good about yourself. So what do you got to do? You got to knock that person down. Well, how are you going to knock him down? His motives. You can't knock him down for what he does, because it's all good stuff. Again, I'm giving this by way of example, right? All wonderful things that this person's doing. So you knock him down. Self-glorification he's doing it for. He loves his name in the press. Whatever. I don't have to get it. As opposed to the other neighbor on the other side who just sits on his rocker every day, and he just sit there and howdy neighbor, and just does nothing with his life, but just oh, that he's a sweetheart, because he's not a threat to you, because he's done nothing with his life, so of course he's wonderful. The one who's accomplished, if you are secure in yourself, so you could look at that person and see how wonderful that person is. But that's humility. That takes strength. Hope that's clear. Thank you, Brett. Any other questions? Rebecca, Vicky, Jane have questions. Ooh, okay. John, is gossip a lesser form of lashon hara, or is simply a syntax? Yeah. Lashon hara means speaking ill about a person, saying the truth. That's what lashon hara is. You're saying the truth, not a lie. Does hate motivate this kind of judgment? Yeah, but why are you hating? Right, absolutely correct, Jane. You're hating because of your insecurity. Because you're insecure because you're broken, and you see your brokenness, rather than seeing you're whole, complete, and worthy. Not for what you did, but for who you are. Greta, if someone says something rude to you about being Jewish, how do you reply, or do you just ignore it? Someone said something really rude to one of my friends. She was hurt, and told her to be proud of who she is. Greta? Absolutely correct. Someone is rude about your Jewishness, if you're insecure, so it's going to hurt you. If you are whole, complete, and worthy, because you are a Jew, period, and you feel secure in that, then it can't hurt you what someone else is going to say. Should you respond? Probably not. Sometimes it depends. It depends who the person is, and if there's something that you can say that will kind of give them a wake-up call, a little jolt of reality. But maybe not. But not coming from a place of weakness, of feeling hurt. Oh, you hurt me that you said something negative about me being Jewish. How could someone hurt you with that? Now, if it was a good friend and they said something not nice, well, maybe question that friendship, but it might be, yeah. No one can hurt you that way unless you allow them. But that's, of course, if you're not insecure about who you are, you're a broken person. So then, we need to get them to a whole place. Vicky, is there a prayer that is particularly good for helping with thoughts? Good question, Vicky. I have to think about that. I'm not certain. Maybe Psalm 20. Psalm 20 is like a general good one. But otherwise, I'm not clear. Don't know. Some excellent questions. I think I got everybody. Sylvia has on Instagram a question. Let's see that. Should it always give someone the benefit of the doubt? Yes. Sylvia, okay, but what if you can recognize people's imperfections, but still be compassionate for that person? Is that okay? It doesn't mean that, the question is, do you see their imperfections? Yeah. But you choose to not focus on that and to see the good in them. Does it mean that people that people don't have? Of course, but you choose not to see that. You choose to see their goodness. And if you choose to see the goodness, you'll be able to gain something from that person and learn from them. Again, it takes great humility. Jane, does hate motivate the kind of judgment we mentioned, we spoke about? Okay. I think I responded to Rebecca, and maybe not, but to Vicky I did. And if I missed something, the feed is gone. Sorry. So if you want to repost it. I addressed your, okay. Thank you, Vicky. Exactly, Vicky. If we see them whole and complete and worthy, not because they did something, but they are something. Every human being is created in the image of God. For that alone, respect them. If we respect God, then we'll respect His image. It's every human being. Yeah. Thank you, Vicky. Rebecca, okay, wouldn't it be better to analyze the negative thoughts we have rather than just push them away? Rebecca, are you a therapist? Very good question. Very good question. On a regular basis, absolutely not, because what are you going to constantly trying to assess your negative thoughts? No. Once you know that it's negative, just get rid of it. Now, at another time, not at the time when you have the negativity, get rid of it then. It doesn't belong in your head. It's getting free rent. It's not paying for rent, that negativity. So get rid of it. Now that you got rid of it, at some other point, you could, in a calm moment, why are those thoughts coming to me? whether you're going to deal with it on your own or deal it through someone, a mentor, to help you, perhaps even a therapist, you know. So yeah, there is place for that, but not when you're having the negative thought. Negative thought, get rid of. It's idolatrous. It's harmful. It's a killer. So get rid of it. And again, at an appropriate, calm moment, deal with it. At the end of the day, like Vicky says, you can take inventory, thoughts and actions. That's actually the end of the day is meant for that. I personally find that difficult at times because you're tired. I'm tired at least, and it's hard. But yes, if you have the strength, do that. Thank you, Vicky. Excellent. And thank you, Rebecca. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Doesn't Hashem judge us as we judge others? Absolutely. Correct. That's the term din v'cheshbon. Din means judgment and accounting. Accounting should come before judgment. Every accountant makes their accounting and then they make the judgment based on it. But here it says the opposite. So the Rebbe explains, what we judge others will be counted to us. So when we see the negativity in another, whether it's their motives or their actions, and that's what we focus on, that will be cheshbon, that will be accounted to us. So when we do a similar thing to that, that will be the judgment upon us. Look at how fate is in our hands. How we look at others is how God will see us. All right, with that, folks, it's late, must run. We have Rambam now. Again, tonight, 7:30, we'll have something live, okay? And come and join us. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, great day. Thank you.